Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. It is Tuesday night. It is 9 p.m. It is time for our time together, and we have made it through the 2021 NFL Draft, and now we just kind of get to sit back and talk about it a little bit here tonight. With me, as always, my big brother, Rich. Rich, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. You know, I'm a Scho, I'm a bro, and I'm here on this show.
Yo,
bro.
Yo. Yeah, so you know what? I meant to do this last week, and I completely forgot. Wanted to give the shout out to the passing of Shock G from Digital Underground. We had a Digital Underground poster in our room. It was your poster.
Yes, we did.
But it was in our room.
I know, I need to look around. I probably still have that somewhere.
If you don't, I think I might.
I don't know. I left it there, and I wondered if you ended up with it.
I mean, it was saying what's great is he was in there twice. He was in the shot, both the Shock G and his Humpty Hump. But yeah, that was sad. Meant to bring that up last week. We had so much draft stuff to go over, and now, whoo, big weekend. It was your anniversary too, so man, you had to deal with draft, anniversary. Whew. You recovered yet?
Sure.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, I think I'm starting to get back into it, except the problem is all my regular articles are gone. Like I had mock draft Monday, although I was sad because, every week it was, I had to, sing Manic Monday, but instead say mock draft Monday. That's just what I would do. But that's gone. So I'm glad the song's gone. Then I was reviewing draft classes, various other things. The only thing I have left now is Vertex, which we didn't do one last week because of the draft, and we're not doing one this week because Jeffrey's continued doing film breakdown. But we have an interesting series we're going to start the next week. So make sure you're checking that out at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. But tonight we're doing our Arthritic-Knee reaction to the draft, which is, for those of you that do not know, Big Bro Scho is the author of our knee-jerk reaction articles. And when he is unable to do it, I cover for him. So we both were given some knee-jerk reactions through the website. And of course, I was on the podcast too. So now we've got some time. So old Arthur set in. We got the arthritic knee acting up on us since it's been a few days since we had to flex it so much. But before we dive into those reactions that we get now that we're a few days into it, one piece of news to talk about, and that was I had to write the article today that not surprised, not upset about it. Big Al moved on to the Baltimore Ravens.
Knew it was coming.
Yeah, we knew it was coming. And of
Still
course,
didn't make me happy about it, but
Well, the biggest thing that doesn't make you happy is that they waited for the deadline to pass for the compensatory formula. So Big Al, that would have been worth a 5th-round pick for the Steelers, isn't. And he would have canceled a 4th-round pick for the Ravens. So I can't believe I just said that name, but I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit for that dirty team east of here. Anyway, it's funny because
the funny thing about it though is the fact that they waited so long, till it wouldn't cost them in the compensatory formula. All right. But then they turn around and are paying him $7 million a year.
Yeah.
I can't think that many people wanted him then. Well,
apparently there was some late action. I think they said the Dolphins were one of them. I don't think the Steelers ever really were. He was, I put it in the article, he was the highest rated offensive lineman of the Steelers this past season, according to Pro Football Focus. But his play did decline as the season went on. A lot of people noted that was how it worked. But I don't know if that was just him or the overall team, if you know what I mean. Yeah. They're going to move him to right tackle because they have a left tackle. That's why Brown wanted traded, because he didn't want to have to. Ronnie Staley got injured. Orlando Brown was Orlando, I'm pretty sure. I don't. They're Ravens. I don't really care what their names are. He got moved to the left tackle. Didn't want to go back to the right tackle spot, so he has to be traded. So they bring in Big Al, who, if he's going to play, he's going to have to go to right tackle, and never played right tackle, really significantly. I mean, he started every game for the Steelers for the last 5 years at left tackle, and the last 10 games of the year before that. So now he's a right tackle. So 2 times a year, he's going up against one Mr. Trent Jordan Watt, which is going to be quite interesting there. Yeah,
yes, it will.
That'll be interesting to see. A lot of people were scratching their head. The Ravens were like, "Oh yeah, we went out and got." I'm like, do you not see the problem? He's not a run blocking tackle, and they're a running team. Does this mean they're going to try to transition to be more of a passing team? I don't know. I just, it's kind of that whole fit thing, and we're going to talk about that fit thing with some stuff coming up here when it comes to the draft. But kind of like, are the Bungles really going to use Mike Hilton in the way he needs to be used to do what he did with the Steelers? I don't know. Are the Ravens going to use Big Al in a way that he's going to be successful? I don't know. I hope for him.
It's not
great guy, great.
Except for, when we play them.
I wish him all the best because great guy, great person. Gave the Steelers some really great years, but it was time. So, you ready to dive in?
Let's go.
Programming note. We are doing something a little special during the second half of this show. This was something that was approached to me by someone else. We're actually going to be having some guest appearances coming up in the second half, and we are going to be transitioning to celebrating the dates today. We will be discussing that topic instead. We're still going to have Steelers stuff, but that's what's going to be going on the second half of the show. We thought about doing it almost like an after party thing, but we're like, nah, let's keep it tight. So that's going to be part 2. Some of you are like, yeah, I'm not going to stick around for this. I wish you would. You're going to enjoy it. It's going to be a blast, especially when you see who we have with us. So we're going to get this all in part 1. We're going to talk about our knee-jerk reactions. We're going to be doing our big question that we always throw out to the live chat. That's going to be at the end of part 1. So you're not going to have to stick around in order to do that for part 2. So we just wanted to give you all the heads up there. Rich, before we go through pick by pick, what's your overall arthritic-knee reaction to the draft?
My arthritic-knee reaction was it was a Kevin Colbert kind of draft.
Yeah. Okay, meaning
it wasn't, minus the Najee Harris pick, it wasn't necessarily super flashy, but when you get done and really look at it, you say, hey, we got the kind of guys that we need to rebuild where we needed on the team.
Yeah, I was looking at a lot of these picks checked off boxes of what the Steelers needed. Now, some of them not as much, but we'll even talk about that. We'll throw in some maybe you undrafted free agents when we get to the end of this. So overall, I liked it too. You've got to look at it as a whole because as it went, I was all right with the Najee Harris pick. At first I was like, oh, just everyone wanted the Steelers to go running back. And I'm like, I didn't want them to be that transparent. That wasn't as much as anything. I wanted them to have some ultimate play. But really, when it came down to it, we took Najee Harris in our draft with the live chat. Why?
Yes, we did.
Because that's the way the draft fell.
Yep.
To us.
I was going to say, how many did we get? Did we get any others right beside that?
Oh, no. That was the only one.
That's okay. We thought we'd get 0. So
we thought we'd get 0. We got 1.
one.
We got 1. So we got Najee Harris. That was it. So, and that was because that was the way that specific draft played out, but I think the Steelers would have taken him anyway, but I'm really glad it didn't. I mean, some people were like JOK, they could have had JOK and they could have had Tevin Jenkins. That was the 2 that they thought maybe you could have had that were there. Jenkins kept falling and JOK really fell because there was a big medical flag that came up with him at the last minute, was what my understanding was. But I understand they went with the running back. And the more I don't fall in love with players before the Steelers draft them. But if you were like, okay, Najee Harris is a good player, don't want to fall in love with him or anything. When you start looking into Najee Harris, the person, now that he's a Pittsburgh Steelers, there is a lot to love. There is a lot to love. I haven't got to check it all out, but Jeff Hartman highly recommends I think it's called Path to the Draft. That's on YouTube. That's a kind of I think they're up to part 4 now with Najee Harris doing this series. Great stuff. High character. I like listening to him talk. I thought he sounded like David Diggs, and then I looked at him and I thought he looked like David Diggs, who's in Hamilton, and he's on a Snowpiercer show on TNT, some other things he's done. He was one of the Mr. Noodles on Sesame Street. There's been about 7 Mr. Noodles and a Mrs. Noodle, or Miss Noodle, sorry. If you don't have little kids, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But
that's
anyway.
Whatever that is, that's not Sesame Street.
It's from Elmo's World.
No, that's not Sesame Street.
So, interesting guy. Let's go through. So, Najee Harris is picked. Wasn't surprised. Was fine with it. But if someone would have been able to come out and blow him out of the water, that would have been great. So
yes, that was awful.
Yes. So it was what it was. So some people, I thought maybe he would be gone, and that's why the Steelers might have to go somewhere else. And it didn't work out that way.
Yeah. Did you like the tight end pick?
That's the next one we're getting to.
Okay.
That was the one that bothered me. At the
time, yes.
And now it does not.
Correct.
Go ahead.
I was the same as you. I was mad when they made that pick. I said, why are we going tight end? We need to be going offensive line. Particularly, you'd love to be going center. Okay?
Yeah.
And I didn't become good with the second round pick until we made the third round pick.
Exactly.
And it didn't take long. I think the NFL Network actually put up a couple pieces of tape of him while it was going on, after the announcement. And I thought right away, I saw this guy and I said, I know why the Steelers drafted him.
Yeah.
Because they were showing him getting out in space and hitting people. And that's what the Steelers like to have for centers. That, the Steelers are one of the few teams that will pull their center.
Yeah. I brought this up in the Slack channel several weeks before the draft. I said, okay, guys. All right, Jeff. All right, Kevin. You guys that have broken down college film of Matt Canada's system, and you guys know more about what Canada wants to do. I said, this is what I want to know. Are the Steelers still going to be pulling their centers with Matt Canada? And they said, yeah, probably. It's what the Steelers do. I said, now my question is, who's the best center in the draft to do that? And they got to talking. They're like, well, none of them really stand out. It's not Dickerson. It's not blah, blah, blah. Like the one who's more athletic is probably Creed Humphrey. So he might be your best bet to do that. But that's not really something that he does. So that's why I was more set on Creed Humphrey. I'm like, he fits the mold, the best of what's in this draft as to what the Steelers do at center. Here was the problem.
We were just looking at centers.
Kendrick Green wasn't just a center. He was also a guard, and a lot of places had him listed at guard because they thought he would fit better in as guard for most NFL teams. But most NFL teams don't pull their center like the Steelers do.
Yep.
So therefore, in the Steelers system, he fits just as good as a center as he does a guard. And who knows? You might find out that he's better at guard. And I don't know if it was Kevin or Jeffrey or someone brought it. I think it might have been Kevin brought this up that said, it could be that he's going to be guard after DeCastro is done his career, and the Steelers bring in a different center if that's more of his strength. Or he could settle in at center.
Right.
But as soon as I saw this kid, I'll call him a kid because I'm old. As soon as I saw this guy, I said, it all makes sense. Fits, everyone's like, they could have had Creed. They could have had Creed. You want to know what? Creed might be a better known center, but Green fits what they want to do even better. And the fact that they didn't have to get him for another round made sense. And since he was that guy,
thank you, Tyler.
3-2 when we went on the air. Now the Penguins are up 4-2. That's good. But if that was your guy and other people might take him in the fourth, then you take him in the third, because if you wanted him that bad, and they did that right. They did that well. And then that's why I'm like, well, shoot, if that's what they were going to do there.
Right. If they already had their mind made up on that guy,
mm-hmm.
You're definitely not taking that guy in round 2.
No, you're not going to take him in round 2.
And then in round 2, you're saying, well, what can we do in round 2? Well, when you can get the second best tight end in the draft, then in round 2, and we kind of have a need to have another tight end drafting.
Yeah.
To which then to me, it made a lot more sense. And some of Kevin Colbert's drafts through the years have done that to me. I've sat there scratching my head thinking, What is he doing? And it's not till the draft is over that you can figure out what the plan was, that they actually had a plan and they followed a plan.
Yeah. Yeah. It just, that's why I said, and I said it on how many podcasts already, whether you listen to my breaking news podcast or my other stuff that we did on YouTube, I fell into my own trap, and I believed my own numbers. I fell into my own trap of, wait, you've got to see that they're going to address stuff later. But to me, being the offensive line guy, I'm like, don't not do that. And I believe the numbers of the acclimation period, that your first and seconds really get acclimated, and your thirds, 25% chance they're going to contribute as rookies. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think they're let's just say this. They think he could have been a round 2 guy, but they didn't need to take him there, which also really turns into their next pick, their 4th straight offensive pick in Dan Moore Jr. out of A&M. One of the first things that I heard about him was in a year with regular offensive line, he probably goes in round 2. And we should have known this was coming. Colbert tipped us off on Monday. He said, there's a lot of, starter ready centers and tackles in this draft that can be had in rounds 3 and 4. I mean, he said it right on Monday, and then that's what they did. So I loved it. Tight end was a position of need. The Steelers needed another tight end. Their own, but that was one of the positions that they could have addressed in free agency if it didn't fall their way in the draft. So when it did, they went with it. If it wouldn't have, there might have been a free agent signing already this week. So when you have all those different needs, you're going to have to address something in another way. So that's the first 4 picks. Anything else you want to say? I kind of went over the tackle.
Not of the first 4, but I want to bring up, because Wes said something over in the live chat. It's like, well, was that your same thinking with the one pick that kind of left us all scratching our heads big time, even when the draft was over?
We haven't got that far.
I know. I know. He was wondering if we felt the same, and we're going to get to that.
We'll get there. We got to move through this. Okay. One thing I will say about Dan Moore is I like the situation, because obviously the Steelers feel like it's going to be Banner and Chooks, and they also have Joe Haeg in case. So it's one of those things that if Moore comes in and tears it up, then you got to get him on the field, or he might get the Kevin Dotson treatment. That might be the round 4 thing that they do. Even if he's tearing up, they might be holding him back. It's hard to say, but he doesn't have to step in there right now. Right. So it kind of fits into that mold. So I kind of like the boxes that they checked right off the bat. It seems like they were doing things more to the running game, but I'll be honest with you. I mean, having a running back and another tight end, that's really going to help out one Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger. So then we moved on to their 5th pick, which was the compensatory pick in round 4, which they got for Javon Hargrave. And they went with linebacker Buddy Johnson. Was not on my radar at all. What did you think of that one?
Wasn't really on my radar, but another one that I started looking at the tape and was like, kind of fit the Steeler mold. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't up, put it this way. I wasn't that, no. I didn't know who he was. And I told you a lot of times the further you get in the draft, the less I know these guys, because I just don't follow a whole lot.
Yeah.
Coming out of college football. So it was a real quick, have to dive in, look at a few things. And I said, okay. He kind of, I don't want to say plays that Steeler style linebacker. I could see why they kind of were interested.
Yep. I said after they made the pick, when I came onto the YouTube channel after I finished on the very end of their show, I'm like, I felt this was we have a big gap in the draft. We don't draft again until round 6. Now that ended up not being the case, which I'm going to come to something about this later. We don't draft again until round 6. We need to grab him now or he's not going to be available.
Right.
That he probably wasn't a 4th round pick. He was probably more of a 5th or early 6th round pick. But if you want him, you're going to have to take him if you don't pick again. So they took that pick. I'm fine with that pick. And the more I see him, the more I like the leadership qualities. Does it mean that he's going to come in and contribute right away? No, he's going to be a special teams guy. That's what he's going to be. And he might be a guy that gets in the field. So completely fine with that pick. We'll see how that pans out. It's a 4th round pick. Then them trading into the 5th round is where it got interesting. Part of me almost was wondering if the Steelers were trying to see if they could get back into the 5th round. Because this is complete, I don't know. My own thought, I could be way off base here. I wonder if they were trying to see if they could get back into the 5th before they made their last 4th pick. And that way they could take Buddy Johnson in that pick and could have done something else in round 4 that was more of a luxury. And they didn't have it set up. And then next thing you know, the Dolphins are like, yeah, we'll take that trade. And they're like, you know what? We might as well go pick somebody. You know, maybe that's what they did. Or maybe they were really after Loudermilk the whole time. But KT Smith's been breaking down this film, and he keeps being like, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. Now, we also have to remember, last year, Jeffrey Benedict's film breakdown article of Carlos Davis, Jeff had to change the title, Jeff Hartman, because his original title was Carlos Davis is not good at football. Because is what he said. He said his tape is terrible or whatever. But I tell you, he got into the Steelers. You got Carl Dunbar. I'm sorry, you still have Coach John Mitchell as the assistant head coach. So he's kind of probably getting his hands on all kinds of stuff. And you got these guys working with Carlos Davis. He's the guy getting snaps in the playoff game. Buggs was inactive. Mondo was only on special teams. Davis was the one who got snaps in the playoff game. So, and then looking at his snaps after the season, Jeffrey Bennett's like, this is crazy how much this guy's improved. Maybe they're seeing certain things with Loudermilk that they're thinking the same thing. I don't see it now. That's my biggest head scratcher now. But it could be you turn around and be like, oh, that was terrible. Or next thing you know, we'll turn around in 2 years and we're like, how in the world did we ever question that pick? Man, oh man, did they know what they were doing? It's probably going to be one or the other. So what do you think?
I think a lot of that's at play. Somebody, I think, somewhere said it in the live chat, and it's funny because I was wondering the same thing and watching some of the tape, you know, that Jeffrey was bouncing around on this guy. Mm-hmm. I was like, daggone, I look at this guy. Would he be better suited to be playing offensive tackle at 6'7"?
I don't know. Yeah, it's so funny. But it's great. The Steelers must not have really cared for their depth on the defensive line because they returned everybody. And this was a position that I felt like they didn't even need to address. So it would have been one thing to draft it. It's another thing to trade in to draft.
There you go.
Which I thought was interesting.
That was my biggest issue, that we traded in and then drafted that.
Yeah.
That's what didn't make sense.
Yeah. So and I mean, and it's so funny because like right away, Jerry Duloc he put him down as an edge rusher. And I'm like, this dude's 6'7", 295. Well, apparently he dropped 20 pounds for his pro day to show that he could be an edge. I think honestly, he might be a better fit in a 4-3 defensive end, but he was playing a 3-4 in college. I don't know. But obviously they changed that real quick that no, he's a defensive lineman. So they've talked about even having him play as far down in his nose, all the way in. So it'll be interesting to see. This is just going to be one of those things of let's wait.
We needed another guy to replace Big Dan.
Yeah. So, well, they got another Big Dan because that's Dan Moore's nickname, but at least that's on the good side of the ball. So yeah, that's the big head scratcher. Let's hit the last 3 picks here. Then they come in, they pick Quincy Roche, 2 from the U.
Steal.
Yeah.
That was a steal.
I was asked this question. I was asked, would you have felt better if they would have taken Roche in the 5th when they traded in and then Loudermilk in the 6th? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Probably would have even felt better if they took Roche in the 4th, 4B, and they traded in for Johnson and did Loudermilk. I would have been fine with it. That would have been a whole different perspective. But the fact that they got Roche where they did, and they needed depth at edge, I like the pick. I'm hoping he can step in and do some stuff right away. Anything else you want to say about him?
He's a steal.
Yeah. I think he could play more than the 3 players drafted in front of him, possibly even combined. Although I do think I do think Johnson's going to get some special team stuff.
That kind of potential is there with him. Yes.
Yep. So that's really interesting. So then you went that pick. Then you went with the corner that now, even after I did the depth chart, they're now saying they're moving him to safety, which to me, I don't know, makes as much sense. I mean, to me, he's a sub-package guy. Everything I read about him was he was the typical nickel corner. So I don't know if they're going to make him a dime safety or what, but that was, why can't I remember? It's for Oklahoma. And why is his name suddenly escaping me all of a sudden?
I just remember Coach Thomas calling him the Swiss
Trey
Army
Norwood.
knife.
It's Trey Norwood. Yeah, I almost said Greenwood. I'm like, no, Green was in the 3rd round. So, and I knew it wasn't right. That's why I said it was escaping me. So they went there, understand it, but they also loaded up with some corners in undrafted free agents, like the guy they got out of Michigan State. I can't remember his name now. Not Shaka, whatever. They got the Michigan State corner. Then they also have a safety from Penn State that they got. That's Lamont Wood, I do believe. They added some depth guys in that secondary where, if you think about it, if you're adding, I think it was 2 corners and 2 safeties as undrafted free agents, as well as 1 drafted in the 7th round, you're basically adding 5 guys and hoping maybe 2 of them stick. Shakur Brown. Thank you. Very good. I knew it was, I kept thinking of Shaka Tony, who I think might've been their pick in round 6 if it wasn't for Roche being there. So yeah, because like Lamont Wade, I don't know if he's a corner. All these guys are like sub-package guys. I like that they're like, we're just going to get a bunch of them and see who can do the job.
Who pans out?
Like it. Yep. And then before we finish up to get to our big question,
one of my favorite picks of the draft.
Oh my goodness, it's funny. It was one of the few guys the only other guy I ever had in a mock that the Steelers took, other than Najee Harris, was Presley Harvin III, the punter out of Georgia Tech. Love the pick as much of anything for one Jefferson Hartman. Looks like he can boom the ball. I'm not down on Jordan Berry like Jeff is, but I'll be honest with you. If you can get somebody better, you get somebody better. And they had already made 8 picks in the draft. You're talking about the very end of the draft. You didn't want to fight for this guy. Honestly, chances are, if they don't think they can get the guy from Michigan State, the corner, is an undrafted free agent, they probably draft him there. But instead, they went with the punter. So, because several teams probably would have fought for the punter. So they're like, let's not fight for him. Let's just draft him. So love that one. So anything else you want to say before I get to our big question? So then we can roll into part 2.
No, enjoyed the draft. Overall, I'd give it a B to a B plus.
I gave it a B
plus. It was solid. It was solid, not perfect. So
our grades now are just how we feel about what they did and what they replaced. It's all going to come down to how they perform in the next. How they
perform over the next couple of years, so, that you can definitively put a stamp on that draft.
Yep. Grades now are fun, but they're really worthless. 3 years from now, grading this draft, I mean, come on, I still get a kick out of it. And Bob Labriola actually shared this. I think it might have been this morning, of talking of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette breakdown after day 1 of the 1974 draft, because back then they did rounds 1 through 5 in day 1 and the rest in day 2. And they're like, yeah, they got a good wide receiver in Swan, but they didn't need to take another one. They didn't address the offensive line. They didn't address tight end. Ham. That's a Ham. It wasn't Ham. It was Lambert, right?
Yes, it was Lambert.
He said, I wrong linebacker. They're like Lambert might be because they mentioned Ham in this, might be your 5th best linebacker on the team, and everyone else is a bunch of question marks. And it's the greatest NFL draft in history by any team. So that just goes to show how it goes down. So here's our quick question. You're going to answer it. I'm going to answer it. Okay. You only get one. If you do more than one, you're done. but it is, who was your favorite pick?
Okay.
By
Mine's
the
easy.
Steelers.
Mine's easy, and it's only because I got to see that video after we made the pick of the guy, and that would be one Mr. Green.
You like that
Any
one?
dude that gets off the phone with the Steelers, gets excited, throws and breaks his sunglasses, looks like he's about to rip off his shirt and go to war with somebody, was my favorite pick. It was more his reaction afterwards, and I'm like, that guy is going to hit people.
Yeah.
So,
yep. So I already put it out there, and it jumped on me. Woo! Did I hit that one? I didn't mean to. Woo! These are just. There we go. All right, here we go. Trying to get here. Ryan Kellerman says Green. That was mine as well. Cree says Harvin. Don't blame you there. Wes, he says Presley Harvin III. That was his favorite. A lot of people like that. Exo Sports says Green. Man,
I think that's your next one.
Yep, we both hit. Reginald Rivers says Green. Michael O'Malley says Green. AJ, I'm not bringing it up. You did too. Sorry, just doesn't work that way. Is that Demetrios? Is that what that is? He says Najee Harris. Javier says Najee Harris. Yeah, Najee. You're right. Yeah, I'm saying it wrong. Okay.
Najee Harris.
Kyle Smith, I don't know if he was answering the question or responding to others of Presley Harvin. LOL. Okay. Never Ender says Najee. Okay. Which is funny. You know what I found out what his middle name is.
What?
I think someone said it's Jerome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That could have been a joke, but if it really is, that's fantastic. Okay. Richard McKinney says Harris. Mark Davison says Najee. He says the rookie record. I mean, come on, Chase Claypool was rookie. I mean, if not, it's Franco that has with the rushing record. Justo says Najee. More people that are cheating because they're trying to say two names. I won't bring it up. Stacy says Harris. Donald, I'm going to give it to him. He says Lamont Wade, undrafted pick. I'm okay with that. Let's see where we go there. I'm going to bring it up. It's a long one. But it says Loudermilk. Hear me out. Watching him at Wisconsin, I said it at the beginning. He would be a solid O-lineman, and sounds like that's what Pitts wants. I don't think they're moving him to O-line. I don't, but that would be interesting. Nathaniel Zarate says Harvin. Solarverse 6 says Freremuth. Frothymuth, as Jeff likes to say.
Yeah.
Jerry Cheruband likes Harris. Muth. I can't wait to do that in Hinesfield.
Yeah, I know.
Mark Tobin says Najee. Okay. Brian says Najee, offensive rookie of the year. Okay. Bert says Harris. I think this is Ezra's answer. He didn't have another one already, did he?
No.
So Ezra says, worst rushing tag in the league, Najee. Let's go, my Steeler Nation. Tyler W says Najee. I understand people liking it. I like
do too.
It's so funny because I wasn't as big on Najee and Freremuth until after they got Green. And that's why I like Green so much, is because it makes me appreciate those first two picks even
more. Yeah.
Brian Brown says Roche. That was my number 2 guy. I'd really like that one too. John C says Harris. Mike says Roche. Matt Stufko says Moose. Lumberjack says Roche just for the value. Totally say. Okay. AJ had to pick one. He says fine. Harris, barely. Okay. There's another Jeff with a G. Shakur Brown. He likes that one as well. Okay. Double HH says Harvard Hound. He's a sorry, I said Harvard, didn't I? Yeah. Harvin Hound. Okay. So let's see. David says Q from you. I hope that catches on. That was the one I went with right after this pick. I like that. Bill says Najee, period. Okay. I don't even know how to say that. Panero. Yeah, we'll say that. Punter. Yeah. Which is shocking that he's got, with the Michigan stuff on. Eric says Quincy, and Steeler Chick 46 says Najee Harris is my favorite pick. I skipped again. My goodness. Where are we?
I got the next one. Owen Holt
thank you.
Says Najee Harris, but love them all.
Yep. Okay. Pradeep says Naji. Okay, Lumberjack says that was fake. It's not Jerome. I would love it if it was. I heard that, and I'm like, that would just be too fitting. So I'm like, I had a feeling it wasn't really true. Do you see any more that's a name?
Hold on, just looking.
People are like, pens are up 6-3. So. Thank you, Tyler. What's that? So we need to wrap up the first part of this show because we went over a little bit because the second part's going to be lots of fun. It's May the 4th, so we're going to be rolling into that. We're going to make it some Steeler stuff. So if you're with us here at YouTube or Facebook, stick around if you want to hear some interesting sports/fantasy talk. And if that's not your thing, we completely understand. And if you're here on the audio side, go ahead and click over to part 2 just to hear a little bit of the fun that we're going to be having. So stick around. We'll be right back. And we're back, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, with part 2 of the Scho Bro Show. I am Dave Schofield, co-editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. And with me, as always, is my big brother, Rich. Rich, how you doing? Why are you muted?
I don't know, because I muted it for a second because I had to cough.
You bumped the button.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm great. There you go.
Now, Andrew Wilbar is bringing in conflicting reports. He says, according to Wikipedia, it's Jerome, but you can't trust Wikipedia. I don't know. We'll have to check that out. Interesting stuff. So we're taking a different route here. This was an idea that was presented to me by one Brian Anthony Davis, who is joining us right now. Bad. May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with all of us and also with you.
Yeah, and also with you. So we were supposed to have a 4th person tonight. The problem is the time where we're here in the evenings and we're kind of done our days. We were supposed to have Maddie Eye Candy Peveril. That's his nickname for me anytime he's on a podcast. So, but I don't know if he's going to make it at all or not with this. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of fun, Star Wars style. So, Dad, what's that you got on your noggin there?
So I have my son's Rebel Alliance. There's some R2D2s up here. I'm feeling young, and I gotta say this: everybody that talks to me about Star Wars, I love it. They talk about how much they love it. Mm-hmm. I am one of the few people that could actually say I've seen every single theatrical release in a movie theater, first run. Mm-hmm. Including New Hope in 1977.
See, I wasn't even born yet, so I didn't have a chance. I had No Hope instead of New Hope. So, but I don't know if you noticed it before, but I'm sporting some Star Wars apparel. I've got my Han Solo encased in carbonite shirt going on. So,
classic.
Yeah. So just thought I'd roll it out there. Rich, you're going with Steelers stuff still, aren't you?
Yeah.
So we're going to do a little bit of Star Wars activity. Brian, do you want to set this up? This was kind of your brainchild, and I'm like, yeah, we can do this. What's going on here?
Well, here's the perfect thing. It is May 4th, and it's the Scho Bro Show, and nobody loves look in the background. Nobody loves Star Wars more than Dave Schofield, and we. On an episode of Tales from 2 a.m., Big Bro Scho was a guest, and so was Tony Defio. And we were joking about a certain Star Wars character that would be great. And so we talked about that. And every year, right before the draft, for the past couple of years, I've done my alternate reality draft, where I take guys from football movies, and I put them in a Steeler uniform. So I go ahead and draft them rounds 1 through 7. So I figured what we could do is we can go ahead and draft and assign positions in colleges to Star Wars characters and put them on the black and gold.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to go through this. I'm really missing Maddie P. I really am. Before we do, we've got a super chat because we had a debate going on. We got $2 in the tip jar, and if you put $2 in the tip jar, unless someone puts in more, they're probably going to win this argument. Wes Hickok says, Najee Jerome Harris. Hashtag fact. Okay. I was still trying to find if that was really the case or not. So it looks like it is. So that was just something interesting we were talking about in part one. If you didn't check out part one and you're only stumbling on part two because you're here for the Star Wars talk, we talked about our several days after the draft, our arthritic-knee reactions to the draft and things of that nature. But now we're going full geek out on us. I mean, it's not the old stat geek podcast like it used to be, but we're still geeky enough. So we're going to do this. So we don't have Maddie. Maddie actually had picks. Maddie actually had picks to do this. So how are we going to handle it without having Maddie here, Brian?
So what I was thinking is we will just save his picks for the end. They are free game. However, they're free game if you want.
Free game. Because he told us who he wanted.
Those guys. So he did not send us the positions yet. He was stuck in a business meeting, and I understand. I understand that he's taking care of business on May 6th. It's May 6th, so I mean it's May 5th for him. He's celebrating Cinco de Mayo, probably. He's probably
he said he was in this meeting. I don't believe it. The only thing he's meeting right now is a margarita.
I tell you what, man, he was showing us he goes all out for Star Wars Day, and so this was last night for us where he's sharing different things, and he had Chewbacca, his breakfast was in the shape of Chewbacca, all kinds of good stuff. So we're going to draft this. Are we ready for this?
We are ready. And you know what?
We already pulled the order, and the order goes this. I get to go first. Brian, you're second, right?
Yeah,
and then
I can go second.
Rich is third. Maddie was supposed to be fourth, but he's not here. So it is what it is. But we'll see how it goes, and we'll see if we can if we leave his stuff, the stuff that he said he would like to do since he couldn't join us. They're fair game, but if not, we'll see what he would have done. So I'm going to give you my first draft pick, number 1 overall. I'm not going for Steelers need. I'm just going to get the Steelers, the biggest beast of a player possible. So with the first pick in the Star Wars Steelers draft, I am selecting out of Kashyyyk Polytechnical Institute, 1 Chewbacca, defensive tackle. The guy is a beast. He's an animal on the field. He's got the height. He's coming in over 7 feet tall. And the guy, he's a matchup nightmare. And whatever you do, he's always going to win. He's going to win no matter what, because he can't lose. Because if he does lose, he's going to pull somebody's arms out of their sockets, because Wookiees are known to do that.
See, that's the problem with drafting Chewbacca. It is like you put him on the Steelers, it's like drafting Vontaze Burfict. It really is. Because, let the Wookiee win does not work in the NFL. That's the problem. Now, a lot of people wanted to put him at tight end. The problem with putting him at tight end.
Put him on that defensive line.
Yeah, I agree with the defensive line. I'm glad you didn't put him at tight end, because the problem with that is he's not going to run a route. He is not going to be compliant. He is uncoachable. So that is, it's a great, he's a blue chipper, but the problem is he going to be suspended after week 1?
Nah, I just wish I could have seen him lining up on the same line as Joe Green, because by the end of the game, the offense of the other team, probably no one would have had arms left.
All right, so there's the first overall. Brian, you're on the clock.
Now, I got to bring this up, though. I love this. Oliver Wood says, we just got Chewbacca in the 5th.
That's hilarious.
Throwback to Isaiah Loudermilk out of Wisconsin. I love it. So let's go ahead. And I'm going with my first pick. This guy's kind of a classic. University of Camino. I hope I'm pronouncing these right. Dave, you have free reign to help me out on this. I have no problem with you being correcty correctorson on this. But I've got to go inside linebacker. Everybody was jonesing for Zaven Collins. Zaven Collins went 16th to the Arizona Cardinals. But I think you've got a guy in Boba Fett that can play all over the field. He's got that jetpack too. He can fly all over the field. He can go sideline to sideline. He's got a mean streak. He plays with passion. He's soft-spoken, but Boba Fett is the guy here. with my first pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
There you go. No disintegrations. No disintegrations. So that's what we got to remember. Rich, any commentary on the pick? Are you ready for pick number 3?
I got no commentary on that pick because personally, I was happy that my pick then fell to me.
Okay.
I too am going to stay on the defensive side of the football. I mean, we are talking Pittsburgh Steelers here, and Pittsburgh's known for its defense. I'm going to draft out of the University of Tatooine, nose tackle, Jabba the Hutt.
Nose tackle.
Nose tackle.
Jabba the Hutt. Okay. He's right up there. Reminds you of Joel Steed, Casey Hampton, Vince Wilfork. He's not real mobile, but that guy's going to take up space. He's going to demand double teams. He's going to plug the middle of that defensive line.
Good luck getting him out of the hole. Woo. Yeah.
You know what? I like that. I was actually tabbing him as a left tackle, and the reason being that tail.
Too slow.
I know.
Oh, you thought maybe the tail could, whip out and get the guys going the outside?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you want the quick hands at left tackle. We had the quick tail, right?
Yeah, I think the tail is the main factor there. I know he's way too slow. He's like Nate Newton, but I would just go ahead and I'd put him there. But good pick, solid pick.
Good, yeah.
No one's running on Jabba the Hutt.
Did you clog up the middle?
Not
you
up the middle. So. You are not running up the middle on this team.
Well, I forgot to properly announce my first pick. We had with the first pick was Chewbacca. So there he is. So you've got Chewbacca playing tackle next to Jabba the Hutt at nose. There's one concern I have about Jabba, and that is, are you going to get stuck with too many men on the field every time you try to go sub package? He's got to come running off. So he might have to slide over to D tackle and get somebody else off the field for that reason. So
you need like 12 timeouts if you're going to get Jabba off of the field.
So he might only be good for one series before he's exhausted, but it's still great pick. I'm ready for the next one. Okay. I'm ready for the next one. I'm staying on the defensive side of the ball as well. And I've got an even better linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers out of Dathomir U. One, Darth Maul. Darth Maul, he's got the ability and the agility to get around and just cover sideline to sideline. He will be all over great in pass coverage, but yet can still stuff the run. He does have some weaknesses. I mean, he's got a great mean streak, but he has a tendency where he could take out the other team's best player, but sometimes he can let the next best guy get to him and take him out. So he can step up to the main guys, but sometimes he lets the lesser known guys take him down. And the other thing is sometimes he does get a little bit too fast because he has a tendency to have his head go one way and his legs go another. But that's one Darth Maul.
No one fights off double teams like Darth Maul, so I think this is a value pick in the second round here. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. So and I'm going with the mechanical legs, Darth Maul. Not the 6 spider legs, just the regular mechanical legs. So if you're not familiar with either Solo or Clone Wars or Rebels, that's what you're missing out on.
All right, for my second pick, I'm going for a transfer guy, a guy that was originally at Socorro State, but he transferred to Bespin College, and it is the Steelers' new running back. So I know in the regular draft, they took Najee Harris. We are going to take Lando Calrissian at running back. Now, a lot of people want him at wide receiver. When I look at this guy, I cannot stop seeing Gale Sayers. If you don't know that joke, Billy D.
awful.
Williams played Gale
I
Sayers.
know.
in the movie that I was named after, Brian's song.
Brian's song.
So I have to explain it, but that's your
James
running
Caan
back.
was Brian, right?
Yes, Brian
Yeah.
Piccolo. And my mother was 8 months along with me, and I went from Sean. So I went from sad to bad, just like that, because of one Lando Calrissian.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there you go. Hey, this guy, he's big, he's quick, he's going to get around the corner, he is going to score touchdowns for you, and he is just sneaky enough. He's just sneaky enough to just outsmart the defenders. So I'm going Lando in round 2.
Interesting.
That's a good pick there, Rich. What do you got coming in round 2?
I too am going running back in round 2. Yeah, going running back position. Out of MCU. That would be one Mace Windu.
Yes.
Mace Windu, running back out of MCU. And for anybody that questions him, he is more of a Steelers running back. He is more of that power running back because, if you remember the scene when he rescues, Anakin and Padme, and that big old Triceratops-like beastly thing is out there and just, start, looking like an inside linebacker coming right at him. He didn't shy away, went, put his head down, went running right for him. Big time power runner. He's the guy you want to hand the ball to on the goal line. Mace Windu.
That would make some interesting practice reps with one Boba Fett over there at linebacker, since Mace was the one who decapitated his father. So that's pretty interesting. So there's a pretty big rivalry going there.
Django Unchained.
Oh dear.
Oh,
all right,
gosh.
My next pick. I do not have a figure. All I had was a Lego figure, and I didn't want to steal it from my sons. I am going. This was a transfer student as well. Okay. I'm not going to say it right. The transfer out of Akvetina Junior College all the way up to Mandalore U. I am going with none other than Din Djarin, also known more as Mando. That is correct. I am taking the Mandalorian safety. He is coming in at safety. Once again, he's got the jetpack as well. Okay. He can protect the goal line. He's going to protect the goal line like he protects Grogu. And not only that, he could really be your field general back there in the back of the defense, because if anyone doesn't know where they're going, he can tell them this is the way.
I can't argue with that pick whatsoever. But the only problem I have with him is he's a fast riser since The Mandalorian just came out in November of 2019.
He was shooting up the draft boards.
Yeah, so I am very wary of some of those guys that shoot up, but that's a pretty good pick. Mm-hmm. My next pick, the Steelers did not go for a wide receiver in this draft. The Steelers know how to pick wide receivers. So Kevin Colbert has looked at this guy. He's not the most popular guy, but he's tall, he's fast, and he has great hands. This guy is a precise route runner. He's fluid. He's Jar Jar Binks. And Jar Jar Binks out of Naboo A&M.
Oh,
he's kind of a one-trick pony. He's not really smart enough to know more than one route, right?
I really also worry that he does not have the greatest hands in the world, and we know the issues the Steelers had last year with dropping passes.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a fumbling problem, but the athleticism's there.
Oh, he's fast. Mm-hmm. I want him on my kick return team as well.
There you go. All right, Rich, who you got?
All right, man, what is going on here? I too went safety.
Oh my goodness.
In the third round. My safety is out there totally on the, because I like a safety that kind of in the mold of Minka Fitzpatrick or Troy, even, and thinking that way, or maybe even your Troy Polamalu, that guy that's can be real cerebral, but at the same time, very powerful. So I'm taking a safety out of Jabroni U. That would be one Obi-Wan Kenobi, or sometimes known as Obi-Wan Jabroni.
Wow.
Obi-Wan
that was my
to
friend's screen name in college, Obi-Wan Jabroni.
So I'm going with Obi-Wan. I feel he would be a great safety. He would be the real, can I say, traffic cop there on the back end, making sure everybody's where they need to be. But at the same time, he's got all the skills and all the power to, be that last line of defense. And that I am not worrying about anybody getting by.
There you go.
I mean, we saw what he did to, that speedy Darth Maul. So,
well, I tell you, that was a problem with Darth Maul, man.
He just dissected that
legs go another. So, I'm in order to try to keep us rolling here, I'm going to roll on to round 4. And I'm sorry, I went running back as well. Some people might have put this as a wide receiver. I'm going running back because anytime you have someone who can hold on to the ball and still stiff arm 3 people all at once, I'd say hand it off to him. And that is one General Grievous. All right. General Grievous that's a guy I want to hand off to. I mean, he just barrels up through the line on 6 legs at times and gets through there. And of course, being his personality, he really just wants to run away from the defenders. So that's a great role for him there.
All right. With the next pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going for the steal. We are stealing a player from Maddie Peverell's list.
Uh-oh.
And so we are taking the steal. This is a guy that I have been I was looking at this guy even in the first round. I think he is probably one of the smartest quarterbacks that the Steelers could ever count on getting. And it's not who you think. This is a guy that is patient. He's a leader. He is going to help lead that entire team. And it is the one and only from Coruscant College. I am going Qui-Gon Jinn.
That's quarterback. All right, there we go. That's interesting. I'm sorry, the live chat is cracking up a little bit. Go ahead, Rich.
I hope he doesn't have to line up across from Darth Maul.
Yeah.
In practice,
only because on a more serious note, Darth Maul has to be the best, villain of all time, because he is the only one who has ever killed Liam Neeson in a movie. Just throwing that out there.
Just got to put it there for everybody. All right, yep. Rich, who you got?
All right, 4th round for me. I'm going wide receiver. Specifically, this guy is destined to be a slot wide receiver. This guy, yes, he's got excellent vision. He's all about speed. And he carries this bit of a chip on his shoulder at all times. And I like that little bit of toughness. If you're going to play the slot and be going over the middle, you got to have a little bit of that. I'd say he's really would remind you a bit of a real chippy Ryan Switzer, except for the fact the chippiness is going to just make him, a little more valuable. I think that's the part that might have been missing from Switzer. So I'm going wide receiver out of Beggars Canyon University. That would be one Sebulba.
Oh, Sebulba. The what is he, like 275-1 as his record as a racer?
Yes.
Only lost the one time.
He's a winner.
Yeah, so. He's a winner. Yeah. There we go. All right. I'm going to roll on with my last pick. I tell you what, I had to go with a bit of a sleeper here. I kind of had to pass up. I thought about my helmet's sake of going with one Kylo Ren, but honestly, too many red flags. Got some maturity issues there that the Steelers might have to deal with. Bit of a loose cannon. Didn't know that was a very safe pick. So instead, I wanted to shore up the offensive line. And I wanted someone that I could put in at tackle, could play either tackle, but primarily left tackle, that's just going to be that guy to step in there. And it might be this is a real under the radar pick. This is the guy that a lot of people be scratching their heads like, who are you talking about? But I am going out of Lasan U, which their program, they killed the program right after he came through. They don't have a program there anymore. And that is one Garazeb Aurelios. Now, for those of you that might not be familiar with Garazeb Aurelios, he was a member of the Royal Guard. He now protects the crew of the Ghost, including Ezra Bridger and Kalen Jarrus, or the late Kalen Jarrus. He just protects. He's got so much overwhelming strength and power. It's exactly what you want to see out of a left tackle, and he would just calabast anyone who comes close to him.
That's a nice pick. I really I'm not too familiar, but I really think that's solid. So I like what you said there. Now, with my final pick here, I had to go ahead since I went with the steal.
Oh, I hope you saved me the one I'm hoping for.
I
hope you saved me the one I'm hoping for then.
No, I've already, it's free because I already went with the steal. The steal was taking Qui-Gon. So
I'm going to steal you. I'm going to. Okay, go ahead.
He's going to steal some of your people.
Are you going to steal one of mine?
Yeah.
That's fine. So then I won't mention them. So
no, you go with yours.
I am going with, I'm moving this guy to guard. And you know how I picked Qui-Gon.
It's okay, then you can have him.
I think this guy is the smartest guy on the field. I like intelligence on the team. The Steelers like intelligence on the team. This guy is a born leader. And I'm going to ask for some help from Big Bro because you put this guy at guard, and what are you going to get when you get Admiral Akbar? Big Bro, take
it's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
So from Mon Cala University, the Fighting Calamaris, Admiral Akbar, he's in. Had to go with him. I think that's a great pick. I'm going for high character guys in this draft. And I feel like for most of them, I have some high character guys, toughness and intelligence.
There you go. Rich, your final pick.
Right, my final pick. All right. I too am going with a guard, going offensive line here. I too am going with a guard. If one guard, we're going to have that guy that traps. I got to make sure I got a little bit of beef on that other side. Looking for a guy who could potentially be more of a mauler. So I decided to get somebody who was a little beefier over there. Out of the University of Naboo Otogenga, that would be one Boss Nass.
Boss Nass.
The boss.
Got the boss at guard. So I'm really bummed. Maddie sent us a list of who he wanted. Brian, you want to go over his list? He didn't even tell us, but he didn't give us their positions.
Yeah, he didn't. So I'm a little confused with this. I know I did steal one of his, but I can go ahead and pull it up right here. So Matt was going with the number one pick. He was going with Yoda from Dagobah State. And now he was a transfer also because he was from parts unknown in my mind because I couldn't figure out where he was originally from. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and tag him with Dagobah. He had Qui-Gon Jinn going in the second round, but I took him. R2-D2 was his third round pick.
I think that was his fullback. I don't know.
I thought maybe R2-D2 could be his kicker. I wasn't sure.
Maybe, or you know what? Maybe he's the holder.
Yeah,
he's Jordan Berry's replacement. He's holding.
But man, he could. I bet you he could kick one. He's got those Tom Dempsey feet. He could kick one from like 60, 70 yards out.
Oh,
We've
God.
completely fallen off the rails.
All right, may you rest in peace.
Wrong.
I'm sorry. We
That
lost
was
Mr. Vinci
wrong.
last year. And
Okay.
Or I
I was
apologize
really,
for
I
that
was
right
really
there.
curious of where he was going to. He also really wanted Ahsoka Tano, and I was really curious of where he was going to have Ahsoka. Some people are familiar with Ahsoka from the Mandalorian, but and soon with her own show coming. But really, if you need to know more about Ahsoka, you need to check out Clone Wars, the series. But I don't know. Brian, I don't know if you're familiar enough with her to know where you would have put her. Honestly, I would have thought corner is where I would have gone there.
That's not bad. And he had Leia in there too. And I don't even know where he was putting Yoda.
I don't know. Cheerleader? No, I don't know.
No, now see, it depends to me. Are you talking
which Leia? Are you talking
Leia earlier or Leia late? See, Leia late, I'm playing fullback because she's just got that mean streak to her there at the end.
So my thing is when it comes to Leia is the best Leia you're going to get is post episode 6, pre episode 7, when she was really going through and kicking butt and taking names in her training, and then before she decided to just hang up the lightsaber. So that would have been real interesting. We had a lot of possible undrafted free agents. I wanted the Rancor as my fullback, but I thought that was cheating.
I kicked out a Gamorrean guard. Somebody said, "Hey, what about those pig guys?" They said in the live
that's
chat.
them.
Yeah, I thought about them.
I had a Gamorrean guard number 2, not the first one, the second one. Mm-hmm. I was going to have him in as one of my offensive linemen.
Definitely not the third one. He was one who got eaten by the Rancor.
Yeah, I really wanted Salacious Crumb. When I think of that guy, I think of Tyreek Hill. He's small and he's fast. That could be my kick returner. He could be my slot receiver. So, I mean, I know he's tiny, but I was going with Salacious, and that's what I was doing there. But a lot of fun with this. This was a lot of fun. And it made me think, fellas. It made me think about something here. I'm throwing this. I'm throwing a little loophole in this whole thing. Now, which Pittsburgh Steeler, to keep this Pittsburgh Steelers, would be best in the Star Wars universe? Who would you put in the Star Wars universe from the Steelers?
You replace them in a role of somebody else? Jordan Berry would make a great stormtrooper because he can't. No, that would have been Josh Scobie. Would have been a great stormtrooper because he couldn't hit anything. So is that what
These are not the droids you're looking for?
No, hey, Minka Fitzpatrick is Lando Calrissian.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'm not going to argue that.
Good looking guy, a little smooth, smooth and whatever. Yeah,
I want Vince Williams. I'm putting Vince Williams. I know he's not as tall, but Vince Williams would be a great Chewbacca because he's got that Chewbacca attitude, and he's tough and he's lovable. That's who I'm putting in there. He's not as hairy, but there you go.
Still thinking. I know Cam Hayward's a big Star Wars fan, so I would love to put him somewhere, but I don't know. I don't know. I would. I don't know where I'd put him. So, and some of these guys are like, oh, put him with I was thinking, like Chirrut or someone, no, I've got Cam. Okay. Antonio Brown Palpatine. That's a good one. Okay. You ready? Cam, you might not be he's Saul Guerrero. Okay. Saul Guerrero from Rogue One, which was Saul Guerrero even at the end of his career, still doing his thing. But then Saul Guerrero who was a character in Clone Wars, who just went out and just fought and did what he had to do. Yeah, that's Cam Hayward for me.
All right, I like that. I know I threw a monkey in the wrench there. So but I thought that'd be fun.
Yeah, that is fun. So
that's right. Some other people mentioned earlier Juju might make a good Jar Jar.
Oh, I thought someone said an Ewok.
You got the name.
Well, somebody also
Juju Jar Jar.
Somebody also mentioned that now you got to be careful with the Mace Windu pick because Juju just killed Samuel L. Jackson in that commercial.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm watching the Super Bowl. I'm like, did Juju just kill Samuel L. Jackson?
So he pulled an Anakin, in other words.
Yeah.
No, that's too much. I had another one I was thinking of. So come on, someone buy me some time.
Oh, somebody just said Zach Banner is giving Chewie a run for his money, and I tell you what, Zach Banner would love that.
Nope. Zach Banner can't be in Star Wars. He's MCU all the way. He's the Hulk.
He's
the
more.
Hulk. Yeah. Just can't do it. So
Yep.
I'm really trying to come up with something snarky for some of these guys. You know, like I really wish we could come up with a good Jordan Berry one just for Jeff Hartman, but he wouldn't understand what it was anyway because he won't watch.
You're wasting your time.
So, we're wasting our time trying to come through. I'm surprised people didn't say Presley Harvin was Jabba the Hutt. You know,
yeah, I know that was
that. You know, how come my nickname?
I can't wait to see that guy on the field. I'm telling you,
nobody can wait to see that guy. But how come my nickname for Presley? He's a big guy, could be a superstar. His name's Presley. He's Elvis to me. How come that nickname's not sticking?
I don't know. So, well, guys, this was an awful lot of fun. We've been here a while. We got some good Steeler fun draft breakdown. We had to go the May the 4th route. I'm really bummed that Maddie P wasn't with us. That would have been a whole lot of fun.
We missed you, Maddie.
He is a Star Wars guy.
Oh my gosh,
definitely into it. For those of you that don't know, for myself, I have every Star Wars Lego set made from 1999 through 2003. They started making them in 1999, in case you're wondering. And then I stopped because they started the repeat sets. But I have them all on display in my family room. It's a thing of beauty. It's just what it is. But this was a lot of fun. Do you guys have any closing thoughts here before Big Bro sends us out?
No, I just think the Steelers draft was fantastic. Like Big Bro said, that it was nothing more than a Kevin Colbert draft. But if they can go ahead and get the Bill Nunn War Room to look towards the Star Wars universe, I tell you what, we might be onto something here, boys.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring it up because I'm gonna try to take it to the next level and do it right the way he meant to. But Tyler W. said, May the 4th. Round picks turn out to be good selections. Tyler W., that was a great one.
Nice.
I love
Awesome,
it.
Tyler.
That was fantastic. Rich, anything else you want to say here?
Yeah. Can't wait
For the show to be over and for us to get back to
over. Actually, no, can't wait for Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, for Cinco de Mayo. So, yeah, don't know if you're going to get any special Cinco de Mayo. Maybe Jeffrey Benedict will bust out some good Cinco de Mayo stuff for you.
I want to see Jeffrey Benedict in a sombrero.
Oh my goodness, that would be fantastic. That almost has to happen. I mean, can you overnight something to make sure it's one's at his house for tomorrow night? That would be fantastic.
I actually, as a gift, I received a Steelers Mexican poncho from Cabo.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I actually have one of those.
Nice. But this was a lot of fun, guys. We're excited about the draft. The draft was great. We're going to break down the draft. There's a lot of stuff to continue to cover here until the Steelers end up in Latrobe, fingers crossed, where they should be. The very end of July, maybe even a week before that, because of everything. We'll be breaking it down on all the podcasts and everything. So there's a lot more to come here Behind the Steel Curtain. Make sure you're checking out BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. It really is your one-stop and nonstop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. But next week, Rich and I will be back breaking stuff down as only the way that the Scho Bros can. So, Rich, are we going to see him next week?
You should see me next week.
Yeah. Are we going to see everybody else?
Week.
What's going to happen
Everybody
next week?
else is going to be here. What's going to happen next week?
Are you ready for next week?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm always ready for next week. You know why? I can't wait for it.